And with the sad passing of Barry Humphries, as we were talking about earlier, the Melbourne Comedy Festival. Rita, what's the latest?
Well, you would expect them to be paying tribute to this great man who started the festival.
Australia's
funniest man, the funniest man we've ever produced. But no, it appears not. According to Peter Ford, who's the best in the business when it comes to entertainment reporting, he said Melbourne Comedy Festival, which Barry helped establish, not planning any sort of tribute tonight. If it was New York or London, rest assured the lights of all venues would be dimmed for 60 seconds. But no, Melbourne Comedy Festival, they know better. They have put up a single Instagram post. They've closed comments on it, possibly fearing, I don't know, whether a backlash...
Let's just, Rita, and James, let's just be really, really clear. I spoke to Barry Humphries 10 days ago in hospital when he was sitting there, and the subject of the Melbourne Comedy Festival still rankled with him. He pointed out that he and Peter Cook established the festival. He couldn't believe that he'd been cancelled. The two comments he made were completely realistic, normal, everyday comments, nothing wrong with them. But as always, with Barry Humphries, there was a joke. There was no bitterness, just a joke. He said, the funny thing is, the person who cancelled me, Hannah Gadsby, is about as funny as an orphanage on fire.
Oh, well.
And I think that is from the great man himself. And he also told Kathy Lett, I'll be doing a special later in the week on Barry Humphries. We've got some amazing people like Bruce Beresford and Kathy Lett and others who will be remembering the life and times of Barry Humphries. But Kathy Lett told us how at one point Barry Humphries, when the Melbourne Festival first decided to get rid of the Barrys, he said, OK, well then I'll just change my name to Melbourne Comedy Festival.
It was just such a shocking decision, weak, pathetic, and the fact that today, when we're celebrating this great man's legacy and we're getting tributes from King Charles down to...
King Charles spoke to Barry Humphries yesterday, only shortly before he died. The Royals loved him. He would be buried in Westminster if he were in Britain. He would be buried in Westminster with the greatest of the greats.
And yet, what they can do is reinstate that honour, to reinstate the top award for the Melbourne Comedy Festival.
But they won't. Because... this is what happens. It happens in Australia. I mean, this is the sort of thing that people have always railed about in Australia, that we take our own and then we tear them down. But this has this whole huge political edge to it now. Now, the Melbourne Comedy Festival has become, of course, official comedy. It has become the official comedy of the narrative. And once something becomes official, it stops being funny. And that's why you have people like Hannah Gadsby, who I was shocked to learn on this program was a comedian. I had no idea that that's what this person's actual job was to do.
That's a better line than anything we've ever heard at that festival.
And yet, here we are. It is such a bizarrely Soviet sort of thing where, we all have to clap at the approved jokes. I mean, which is, of course, the exact opposite of what comedy is supposed to be about. And again, I said it at the start of the show, and I'll say it now, the thing with Barry Humphries is that he made fun of everybody, and he made fun of Australia, but he did it with love. And because he did it with love and not snarl and rancor, he had to be
Let me just quickly tell you on that point, James and Rita, he also made fun of himself whenever he possibly could.
Of course.
And during the lockdowns in Britain, and this is hilarious, during the lockdowns in Britain, remember when they used to get out and clap for the nurses and all that? Barry Humphries would go out, and he told Kathy Lett this, that he would go out and stand on the balcony just so he could feel what it was like to have the applause again and be waving gladdies at everybody just so he could reminisce about the good old days. What a great legend, what a great man. And I urge all Australians today, go out, go to lunch, go to a pub, go to lunch with your mates, go to a restaurant, go around to each other's backyards and barbies and be Barry Humphries. Be irreverent, be funny, crack jokes, be human, be witty, be the Australia that Barry Humphries celebrated and loved, and be the Australia that Barry Humphries took to the world, Rita.
Yes, be bold and be brave, because that's what he was, right to the very end. He never backed down. He was, as you said, even at the end, he was funny. His comedic timing was unmatched, and he's going to be terribly missed. You look around, you know, probably Ricky Gervais would be his equal now. There's just
Yes.
not too many who ever reach that standard.
Absolutely, James. I would urge. I think he deserves a state funeral. I hope that those plans are underway. That's what the great man deserves. He was huge in America. He was huge in Britain, and he deserves to be remembered and celebrated here in Australia.